I'm happy to report that the bill was reported out unanimously out of the Senate committee yesterday. And it was Senate Transportation. It was reported out unanimously and will be headed to the floor and then hopefully on to the House. But with that, what questions can any of us answer for you? Yes.
Right. I have been traveling around the state and the country training. For the past 2.5 years, Department of Criminal Justice and Commonwealth Autism, we put together a public safety work group, which I was a part of. We have Supreme Court justices, we have attorneys, and they're trying to develop training for law enforcement as well as all public safety. The law enforcement aspect got started about 2 years ago, and we've been traveling around Virginia trying to, it's a 4-hour block. We have actually been out doing an 8-hour block to train the trainers, so we can train officers in agencies to train their agency. But we relay some of the behaviors of autism, how it is a spectrum where there are some individuals who are nonverbal, they really cannot function on their own, but it also goes all the way up to the high functioning where they can hold down jobs, they can get married, have kids, but they might have some little behaviors that just seem peculiar to us. Such as the echolalia, which I brought up. Senator brought up no eye contact. Many times with autism, there is a lack of eye contact. They're absorbing everything around them. I feel like they're looking and observing everything going on and they're soaking it all up. They hear what you're saying. They know what you're saying, but sometimes they have to process it. And it may be 10, 15 seconds before they give you that answer that you want. There's a literalness to autism. You say something, they expect what you say to be what it is. If, I've got one officer I teach with, Travis Aiken out of Roanoke City. Before he knew anything about autism, I'll use his story, it's his story. He went to a house, a 15-year-old boy, constantly fighting with the parents. Evening shift officers have been out there 3 times. And he came into work midnight shift and said, y'all been out there 3 times? I'll go out there 1 time, we're gonna take care of it. Not knowing anything about autism. Well, he's on duty 30 minutes, gets called to that house. He goes in, walks up to the boy and says, do you want to take a ride with me? And the little boy said, yes, and ran out and jumped in the police car. So there's a literalness, and those are some things, it could end up leading to a bad situation, or if somebody's not answering or repeating what you say, the hand flapping, spin around in circles. It's called stimming. They're trying to cope with some type of stressor. And in our line of work, it could be the blue lights flashing. It could be that loud radio. It could be the siren. And we need to be, respectful of that. And it'll help us deal with the situation a whole lot better. But we've been doing this training all through the state, just trying to educate on these behaviors so that if an officer is out and about and runs across somebody, maybe when they see a particular behavior, they may say, no, it might not be drugs, it might not be alcohol. That might be the autism that I learned about a couple weeks ago.
It depends on what you mean by like this. There are currently, DMV does have certain medical conditions that it will identify on the back of a driver's license, such as I mentioned earlier, diabetes. As far as autism, this is the first time that autism spectrum disorder has been suggested to be noted, and I'm happy to report that so far the Assembly has received it favorably. You've had nothing but great working relationship with DMV. They've been very, very helpful on this. I'm hopeful, not overconfident, but I'm hopeful that we'll get final passage and get it to the governor's desk.
But you don't know of any other states that have?
I do not believe any other states have done this. I believe that Pam's dream will catch on like a prairie fire, to quote Ronald Reagan, and spread across the country.
It's very interesting. I tell people at the beginning of the class, I say, as we're teaching this class, that light bulb's going to go off because you're going to remember this call you were on. And you're going to say, you know what? That's exactly what that was. And yeah, we took care of the problem. Our job, we're problem solvers. That's what we go out and deal with problems. But they start to realize they could have probably solved it a little better or taken a different route of action, which would have been more appropriate. Not to say they didn't do their job right. They did it based on the knowledge they had. But yeah, it's amazing to see the students light up and go, yes, I remember, you're exactly right, you're on the money. And one of the most amazing things to me, because I do not have children with special needs, but to be in a class teaching, realizing that some of those officers have children with autism, you know, you feel like you're preaching to the choir. And they come up afterwards and they're like, you're right on the money, thank you so much for doing this. And I don't think it's been mentioned, but according to the CDC, the autism rate is 1 in 88 births. And I have a feeling that number's going to increase in the next month or so. And I believe about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, it was 1 in 2,500. So the fact is, we're going to be seeing it. We're going to be dealing with it. My agency, we had one day, we went on 2 separate calls dealing with autism. And it wasn't a wandering issue. It was, they were out of control, something had happened, some routine had changed, they were out of control, and the first thing to do, the parents call us. And we come in trying to calm the situation down. So we're responding on a lot of these calls. And we need to be, especially on the side of the road, and if they've got that ID, you know, we've got a lot of officers that have been trained. And to have that ID, it would be amazing. There is enough, it's just getting to the locations, and I think we've done probably around 20, 25 trainings in the past year and a half, 2 years. And like I said, close to 2,000 officers at this point. Plus, we've got, we did the train the trainer, I think we've done about 500 or 600 officers that are trained to teach the curriculum within their department. So we may not have the statistics for each individual department, but there is training going on out there, justifiably so.
There is no physical impact. DMV is able to do this because they already do it. They just needed permission to add autism spectrum disorder and intellectual disabilities to the list of things that they're allowed to put on the back.
This would also apply to non-driver's license ID cards, right?
Right. If, again, on a voluntary basis, that's correct. All right, well, thank you for coming out there, and those of you who are going to advocate on this issue, we need you up here talking to the members of the Senate as well as the members of the House. Thank you.